Welcome to the show, Golf Sickos. It's a big day. It's a big show. It's a really big show. Right after the Memorial. I'm here with you ready for this one? I'm here with my own personal Ted Scott.
Hey.
Mr. Ben Boscovich, editor-in-chief of Skratch. Yeah, do it. Get jiggy with it. It is Scottie's world. It was Rory's world for a second there. It is big time back to being Scottie's world. Some statistics for everybody after Scottie's 4-shot win yesterday. He's won 3 of his last 4 starts by a combined 17 shots. He won by 8 at the Byron Nelson. He won a major championship by 5. He won yesterday by 4. He's got 11 wins since March of 2024. That includes 2 majors and an Olympic gold medal. In his last 40 months, so that's since his first win, which was 2022 Phoenix Open, he has, and credit to Jamie Kennedy for digging this up, in the last 40 months, he's got 19 wins, which is more than Jordan Spieth's career, 36 top threes, which is more than Jason Day's career. That's crazy. Jason Day's been a really good player for a really long time. 52 top tens, more than Max Homa's career. 3 majors, more than DJ's career, and it's so simple. It's such a distinction from watching Rory. Rory hits these fucking incredible shots, and then he shoots himself in the foot. Scottie just keeps hitting it to 15 feet over and over again. It's very, very Tiger-like with the irons, and the shot that stuck with me the most from yesterday was the approach into the par 3 12th. It was 179 yards, a little bit downhill. He pulls 7-iron, which is a lot of club. Probably goes closer to 190 full. He sets up way left, and he hits this perfect little cutter in there, and it was just very indicative for me. Scottie looks like he's aimed well left on 12 with a 7-iron. I don't know if that's just the camera angle. He's going to play a high cut here. Yeah, that's a feather job, and that's curving right toward it. God, is that pretty.
105.
God, is that pretty. That shot right there is like kind of an encapsulation of Scottie Scheffler in this run. It's not like a crazy highlight shot. It's just a feathered 7-iron that starts on the left side of the green and is always cutting toward it, never going to go anywhere but 15 feet from the hole. That's the kind of golf that he's been playing for the last 3 years. And that's the kind of golf that wins major championships. There were so many just boring golf shots to 16 feet. You wear people out. That's how you win. We've actually got the #1 player in the world on our show again.
No way.
Yeah, you knew that. Wow. You already knew that. Second time in not that long because he wins a lot. Got the win counter behind me. Scottie win counter, 16. That guy's got 16 PGA Tour wins, and I was lucky enough to catch up with him after he won at Jack's Place. Here's me and Scottie Scheffler. Scottie, you've won 11 times since March of last year, including 2 majors and an Olympic gold. I was spending some time with your old college golf coach, John Fields, and I asked him, did you see this coming? And he said, not like this. Did you get a sense that this was possible?
Yeah, I don't see why not. You know, I was a pretty good junior player, and I struggled a little bit with my body in college and struggled with my ball striking. And I always dreamed of playing on the PGA Tour, but I didn't think it was possible. But I also never really thought this far into the future. My goal and dream was always just to play the PGA Tour, and that's what I dreamed about growing up as a little kid. And I never really thought about how good I could become or any of that stuff, and I still don't really think about that. I'm just trying to get the most out of myself, practice hard, and just try and play some tournaments.
Are you worried that you're winning so much when Bennett is so young that he's going to become accustomed to this standard of golf?
Fortunately, he doesn't have a clue what's going on right now. He's probably, whenever he sees this trophy, he's probably going to try and eat it like he tries to eat everything else. So not too much of a concern.
I wanted to ask you about the putting, the claw. You seem to be getting really comfortable with it. Are you, when you first started, it was like just for the really short putts. Are you kind of extending how you're using it?
No, I've pretty much been inside of 15-ish feet. I'm very likely to use it, but it's mostly just a feel thing. And starting in the Bahamas, I felt like I've kind of stuck with it for mostly similar length putts. And, it's kind of just whatever I'm comfortable with at the time. And, I really don't put too much thought into it. It's like if I start looking at a putt and it looks like claw, then I'll hit it with the claw, and most of the time that's inside 15 feet. And if it looks like conventional, then I'm going to go.
And you don't even talk. You don't talk to Ted about that. You just feel it.
No, it's just I think most of the putts inside of 15 feet, I think I've used the claw pretty much since the Bahamas. Maybe an odd putt here or there where there's either a ton of break or it's mostly about speed. But overall, yeah, like you said, I'm very comfortable with it, and I'm definitely not going to, I don't think, extend the range per se of stretching out any further. I feel like I'm in a pretty good spot right now.
And then my last question for you, what's your familiarity like with Oakmont? What do you know about Oakmont?
I played Oakmont in 16 for the U.S. Open, and I know that's really hard. And, I know Gil Hansen made some changes to the course, and But overall, I think it's pretty similar to the way it was in 2016. And, it's going to be another golf course where you got to hit a lot of fairways, you got to hit a lot of greens. It's from what I remember in 2016, it was the most difficult course that I played. And I'd assume that's probably didn't change very much with some renovations.
Yeah, I don't think so. Well, good stuff, man. It's been super fun to watch. We'll see you soon.
All right. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it.
And a quick shout out. That was great. And a quick shout out to Ben Griffin. Last 3 starts for Mr. Griffin. T8 in the PGA Championship, wins at Colonial, solo second to Scottie Scheffler at Memorial. He's up to number 15 in the world. He's up to number 7 in the Ryder Cup points. And we're not gonna do a Ryder Cup segment because we can't do it every week.
We'll wait.
But we're not going to do a whole Ryder Cup segment, but I'm going to do a Ben Griffin Ryder Cup segment. If the Ryder Cup was tomorrow, if the picks were due today, he'd 100% be on the team. It's sustained this last month. The loan officer, the great loan officer, has some game, and he has some confidence right now. This kind of stopped me in my track. A couple years ago, finishing second to Scottie Scheffler on the Memorial, even 1 year ago, would be a massive result for him.
Right.
He was not pleased. I mean, he was just not that impressed with himself. Here he is.
Disappointed. My putter definitely wasn't quite 100% there. Kind of most of the day, I made it exciting there at the end for a couple holes. But ultimately, I mean, it's funny. I'd take this finish like a year ago, 2 years ago, 3 years ago, and I'm definitely a little disappointed to not have made it a little bit closer or gotten it done. So. I'll learn from some of my swings down the stretch. I'll remember some of the good stuff, and I'll bounce back and get right back to it. So overall, great week, but definitely a little disappointed with the second.
You can tell he's almost like wrestling with himself being disappointed.
Yeah. He's actually getting used to being pretty damn good. He's accepting his hot streak, which is cool. We want that.
It's a new reality. It's very cool. A couple other quick notes from Memorial. Max Homa. So I went into the wilderness this weekend. I went to Yosemite. Proper unplugged for 36 hours. Didn't even look at my phone. It was unbelievable. When I disengaged from society, he was 4 under. Shot 68. I was like, oh, Max is... I re-engaged Sunday midday, and he was 11 over. 79, 75, 77 after that opening round. So the struggles continue. How about the sponsors exemptions? So last week, the sponsors exemptions were Jordan Spieth, Ricky Fowler, Brandt Snedeker, and Matt Kuchar. Jordan Spieth, Fowler, and Snedeker all finished tied for 7th, and Matt Kuchar finished tied for 25th. And we had Laz on the watch-along being like, this is a problem. Like, these guys are getting points. They get sponsors exemptions, and they get all these points. Isn't that what we want? The sponsors we want.
Yeah, you got to shout out the sponsors for good picks on this.
I think you want the sponsors exemptions to play well. Isn't it worse if the sponsors exemptions go out there and lay an egg?
Shout out to Workday.
Shout out to Workday. Yeah, they picked the right guys. And then one more thing I just had. Ludwig Åberg, strange year continues. Finished tied for 16th yesterday, but that was with a 66 on Sunday. So, yeah, it's just been I don't know. It just felt like after that Genesis win, it was going to be continue the momentum and the trajectory and challenge Scottie Scheffler. And it's just been kind of a weird year.
Can we call it a letdown based on the start?
Yeah, I would say so. I mean, so far. Yeah, at this point, we're halfway through the majors. Still a lot of time. But, just been a bit of a strange year for Ludwig. We're going to hop into a little segment that we call, it's not so little, the Knockaround presented by Knockaround. These are the love and hates. So I went to Yosemite, and these came with me. And we formed a really deep connection.
That's what happened.
You know what I mean? You go into the wilderness, you connect with nature in a really profound way, and you become really, really close to the things that come with you on that journey. And these love and hates were there with me.
It's all love now.
It's all love. There's no hate. We got a promo code. If you go to knockaround.com and use the promo code DanOnGolf20, you get 20% off these sunglasses. They're $35 to start out with. 20% off brings them under $30. I can't speak highly enough of these sunglasses. I've been getting, my friends have been getting them. They love them. I love them. The quality's amazing. And like I said, we went on a journey together. So these are part of the family now. We're going to start with the U.S. Women's Open at Erin Hills. Was won by Maya Stark. And we're going to bring on my colleague, Skratch's very own Addie Parker, to discuss. She was there this week. Addie joining us live on the line right now. What's up, Addie?
Hello. How are you guys?
How's it going? We're very happy to be joined by you. So Erin Hills, for my money, no course got a worse rap more unfairly than Erin Hills, and that's because of the 2017 U.S. Open there. The score was really low because it was wet. They played it as a par 72, but that place is fantastic. What was your sense from on the ground, and how did the ladies like the setup this week?
I mean, the thing that I heard the most from the ladies was it's hard. It was a little bit wet early in the week. It had some rain Tuesday, Wednesday, a little bit Thursday. But as the weekend progressed, the course got pretty firm. But make no mistake about it, at every step of the way, they were like, this golf course is hard as fuck. And I'm like, yeah, I can imagine. I'm just walking it, and I'm sad for you. I don't know how. I don't think anyone else realizes just how tricky Erin Hills is. It's demanding in every way. I think the walk, that fescue is insane. The green complexes are very, very complex. It's like, I don't think you could place a ball and get it to stay. So some of those approach shots that we were seeing were unreal, but Erin Hills is very much so a beast, and I think got its redemption arc this year. So from 2017, I got a lot of unnecessary flack, but definitely redeemed itself, and was a very championship-worthy course, in my opinion.
Yeah, that property is massive. I've been there, and it's just like you look in every which direction, and all you see is Erin Hills.
Windows.
Yeah. Favors. Tell me about Maya Stark. Tell me about Maya Stark. Give us the Maya Stark file.
Okay, Maya Stark. So she won in 2022, and that was her immediate gateway to the LPGA Tour. And since then has been a pretty steady, under the radar kind of player. But a big fact of Maya is that she's also a teammate and former classmate of Ludwig. So they went to the same sports school in Sweden. It was the same class as Ludwig. Lynn Grant, who's also a baller, had her best U.S. Open finish this week too. They're all in the same class, so I don't know what they have in the water over there.
It's a Scandinavian invasion. We've talked about it on this show.
I mean, yeah, pretty much. And so I think it's very telling that she's the same age as Ludwig. So I think the fact that, whatever they're doing over there, they're doing something very, very right. And yeah, I think something that I've paid attention to Maya some, but I think what I've noticed during the week is that she's very, very emotional, and not in like she can't handle her emotions. I think she's just a very emotional player, but she finds a way to stay present anyway. And that's something that I think is ultimately what got her to win. She's a beast. I think this will be the win that will kind of propel her forward. I think we're going to see a lot of Maya Stark. She's young. She's 25. She's a very, very bright future. I think she's another up-and-coming Swede player. We have Annika. We have Anna Nordqvist, who's leading the Solheim Cup team next year for Europe. I think Sweden's a problem. Sweden's a problem, and Maya is definitely leading the way.
Nelly Korda was in contention all day. Her best major finish, since she won last year. What's sort of the state of Nelly?
I think all week we heard a lot about Nelly's Colt putter, but I would actually like to draw some attention to her ball striking. I think that was very underrated for her. Her stats were unbelievable, just on the approaches.
No bunkers. I saw she didn't hit a bunker all week. It's 138 out there. She didn't hit a single one.
Wow.
Yeah.
It was nuts. Like, I think she went 56 of 72 on like GIR. Like, she was Nelly was being Nelly. And yeah, this was her best U.S. Open finish ever. So I think we're definitely seeing Nelly. I think we would all like to see her win, very similarly to Scottie. I mean, she's world number one, but I don't think people realize, like, the U.S. Open is meant to be a true test. So Nelly's definitely trending in the right direction. I don't think people should freak out about her not winning yet. I think it's always a matter of when, not if, with her. But I like where Nelly's at. I think she's playing healthy. She's playing smart. And I think her being in contention and like digging deep is proof of that.
All right, last one. I got wind of this story when I reemerged from my time in the wilderness. Amari Avery. This story, tell me this story, and are we buying it?
I mean, I don't know why she would lie. Not lie, but I don't know why, like, make this up. So what happened is on the broadcast Friday, I think it was Morgan Pressel, was like, oh, Amari Avery, she's playing with Gabby Ruffles clubs because her Airbnb in Milwaukee was broken into. Boyfriend had his own tournament to go to in Arizona, and he took the wrong bag. A lot of people are like, how do you mess that up? But I think Amari cleared it up in her presser on Saturday. She basically was like, we still use the same travel bag from USC where they both played college golf. And Yeah. So she's like, we don't have, like, we're college kids. Like, we're trying to save some money anywhere. Like, if we have a nice travel bag, we're not going to spend money and try to, and like get another one. So I get it. So essentially that's what happened is she blamed dad and boyfriend for just not checking the travel bag. And he took her clubs, but his mom, her boyfriend's mom, got her clubs back to her by Friday evening. So she was able to use her clubs during round 3. But shout out to Gabby Ruffles too. Like, what a great friend who's also a USC Trojan. So like, that wasn't random. And Gabby was like, bless my clubs, please, because unfortunately Gabby missed the cut. But Amari makes the magic happen. But hey,
how'd she do with the borrowed clubs?
I think she was like, they suspended play Friday, but she was like 1 under for her round through like 12 holes. And so when play got suspended, everything got started again for Saturday, I believe, she made the cut. So I'm like, I think with her own clubs, I don't know. I think she was like 3 over Saturday. She didn't end well, but I mean, kind of impressive to borrow clubs like really at the drop of the hat and then end up making the cut. So
yeah, I didn't realize that they were teammates at USC.
That changes
things. I'm gonna put the controversy.
Put the conspiracy aside.
Yeah, just that kind of makes sense.
And she said, she was like, oh, I saw the comments. Like, I'm going to clear this up real quick.
Good. Okay, good. Well, I missed that. I was in the wilderness. It happens. Well, thank you so much, Addie. We really appreciate it. We'll have you back on very soon.
Yeah, thank y'all.
All right, sounds good. Moving on, Charlie Woods won the Team TaylorMade AJGA event at Streamsong Black. As far as junior wins go, it's about as legit as it gets. This was a massive progression. I can't remember him having any finish anywhere near this good. This is one of the AJGA's biggest events, kind of a major. He beat Miles Russell, everyone remembers Miles Russell was, I think, the youngest player ever to make the cut on the Korn Ferry Tour, top junior in the country, and Tyler Watts, who's another one of the top juniors in the country. They had 60 of the top 100 in the field of the top 100 juniors, which for juniors is a ton.
Yeah.
Because juniors aren't pros. They all, some have school and some have this and some have that. So it's like they can't just, get drop of the hat, get everybody there. And I was at NCAAs when this happened, and the coaches, they were all talking about the score. They were like minus 15. I think stacking serious under par rounds one after the other, that's a big step. And college coaches can begin to make contact with Charlie Woods on June 15th, and they're going to be calling. He's up to like number 14 in the AJGA rankings. So it's no longer just like, oh, we'll get Charlie on the team because, NIL and because of the attention and, we want to be associated with Tigers. Like, Charlie's good. He's a junior.
He's a full package now.
He's a full package now. And the question is, where does he go? Where does he go? Does he follow in dad's footsteps and go to Stanford? I don't know. The Florida schools, he lives in Florida. Florida and Florida State are both, elite programs.
Did he go to the golf school?
Does he go to the golf school? We're going to get into that. We're going to do a whole NCAAs chapter on this show because the season's over and I'm obsessed with it. And I'm also a little bit curious, not even a little bit curious, I'm very curious, like invitations are going to start to flow in. And I'm not saying that they should or they shouldn't or that he should play or that he shouldn't play, but like sponsors invites are going to happen. He's Charlie Woods and he's one of the best juniors in the country. He beat Miles Russell on an event. Miles Russell's played in a PGA Tour events. Mm-hmm. He's played in Korn Ferry events. Obviously, beating a guy in one tournament doesn't mean that you're a better player than him. But as far as attention goes, if I'm a tournament director for, a Korn Ferry event or maybe an opposite field event, you're at least making the call.
Yeah. I also think for Charlie, this is a major hinge moment, right? Like this tournament win, these back-to-back scores in a row, it's the moment where he changes from the potential to the expectation, and he's got how he embraces that is going to make a huge.
He said it himself. He was like, "This is so huge to know that I've done this."
Yeah.
Because it's one thing to shoot 67 at your home course, with your dad in a golf cart.
Which we've heard of him doing before. Oh, Charlie shot 67 at this event, right. Or he's done this.
But you don't roll your eyes, but you kind of roll your eyes until you see it in competition, and we saw it in competition. And I also, the whole let him be a kid thing is out the
Not anymore.
He won one of the biggest AJGA events. He's doing interviews with the official AJGA channels. So just get used to it. Get used to it. Charlie's here. Charlie's not going and he likes it. He loves it. So
thank God.
I don't feel bad about it at all. New Tour Championship format. So they got rid of the starting strokes, but not only did they get rid of the starting strokes, how do I put this? Being the FedEx Cup champion doesn't really mean anything anymore. It's the same as being the Tour Championship winner. They're the same thing. You win the Tour Championship, you win the FedEx Cup. That's the first time that it's been like that. where it's a real 72-hole stroke play tournament for $20 million. Because when they had the starting strokes, it wasn't a real 72-hole stroke play for $20 million. And before, when they had, the one list, they had the Tour Championship and the FedEx Cup going in the background, it was like you could win the FedEx Cup without winning the Tour Championship, which is what Justin Rose did when Tiger won. Now it's the Tour. Winning the FedEx Cup just means you won the Tour Championship.
They created a $20 million tournament.
They created a $20 million tournament, and I didn't like it in the beginning, and it's growing on me. The FedEx Cup now is basically just a points list that determines eligibility for tournaments. Determines your eligibility for the playoffs. Top 100 keep your card. Top 50 make the signature events. It's all about making it to the Tour Championship, but the Tour Championship is way bigger now, and it sounds like they're going to set it up super hard. That was one of the releases, like an even par winning score. So I'm surprised that the players agreed to it, because I never thought about this as an option, because I thought they would care so much more about like, oh, you have one bad tournament and you don't win the season-long championship. But that's what it's like in every other sport.
Right. Eliminated from the playoffs, yeah.
Well, like it just wipes clean. Like the Patriots, so they went 18-0. They played against the Giants in the Super Bowl, and they lost. And so the 18-0, fantastic, but they lost. So I'm just surprised that FedEx agreed to it. They ceded a lot of ground to the Tour Championship, but competitively speaking, I like it. I just didn't think the players would be down.
I think if they can pull off the course changes that they're alluding to, like making it actually like as hard as they possibly can, then like maybe we have a justification. And I think they got rid of the worst part of it, which was everyone's biggest beef. So that's progress, right?
The Tour Championship got way bigger. The FedEx Cup got like less significant. I mean, less significant as far as like winning the FedEx Cup. It still matters a lot for...
The stakes got higher because there's only 4 opportunities to shoot a score now to win the FedEx Cup.
Yeah.
Whereas you had like dozens.
So the Tour Championship went up. The FedEx Cup for me is like, it's more of like an eligibility list now than it is a season-long championship, which is just a change.
Yeah.
Things change. That's how...
I think it's on balance, it's a positive change.
I do too.
Yeah.
And I didn't immediately. I was like, well, this is kind of weird. But the more I think about it, and people are allowed to change their opinion. That's a good thing.
It's also allowed to change again in 2 years.
Yeah.
They learn. It's the crazy thing about trying stuff. You learn things from it, and then you can make.
Totally. Yeah. But like, if Scottie wins, it will. But if someone random wins, it'll be an interesting conversation.
Maybe it doesn't matter while Scottie's in the field, because if he gets starting strokes and doesn't, he might still.
Yeah, I'll probably just win both. But I think maybe like the what do they call it? The Comcast Business Top 10, which is the regular season standings. Maybe they put some more money into that, because that's sort of like the season long, and then you make the playoffs into their own thing. It's a good change. I actually think it's a good change. The Korn Ferry Tour, Trace Crow won the UNC Health Championship. I was there for Trace Crow's first Korn Ferry Tour win at the Glen Club. That was when I was at Barcelona. We did the NV5 Invitational presented by Old National Bank, and I did the interview on the 18th green. So Trace and I we're joined at the hip.
Old friends.
Forever. 2-time winner on the Korn Ferry Tour. DP World Tour. The Austrian Alpine Open was won by Nikolai von Dellinghausen. Amazing 2-week stretch for names on the DP World Tour. We had Pontus Nyholm last year, and now we've another sick trophy.
Are we streaking on this?
Yeah, they're just getting good trophies. Pontus Nyholm last week and Nikolai von Dellinghausen this week. Over on the Champions Tour, Miguel Angel Jimenez won for the 16th time. He's leading the points race. Look at him on the last hole here. This is aura like you read about. Holster that thing.
Yeah.
He's so sick.
Got to.
Oh, fantastic stuff out of. Did he do it again? He did it twice?
He did it twice.
He did it twice.
We talk a lot about Mount Rushmore stuff. Is he Mount Rushmore aura?
He's in the conversation.
He's in the conversation for sure.
Arnold Palmer's on that list.
Yeah. He's on all of them.
He's on that list. Today is golf's longest day. We've got sectional qualifiers, 36-hole qualifiers around the country to qualify for the U.S. Open. A lot of big names. Max Homa is playing, carrying his own bag, apparently. We saw that early this morning. Ricky Fowler's teeing it up. I'm going to go live on this channel, the Dan on Golf channel, a bit later to discuss the results. We're going to do a little watch and chat, breakdown who is qualified for our national championship. And I'm going to say this. I'm going to give my honesty button. First one of the day, honesty button. The U.S. Open is my favorite major.
Yeah.
I've said that.
You've said it.
And I'm going to keep saying it. And everyone's saying, oh, what about the Masters? What about the Masters? I love the Masters. It's like your children. You don't have a favorite, but you kind of do have a favorite. And mine's the U.S. Open, because I love this day. I love Golf's longest day. I love the stories. I love that you're going to get kicked in the mouth when you play in the U.S. Open. It's always like right in the longest part of the year. It just reminds me of summer. You get college kids, you get some amateurs, you get some like mini tour pros who have an incredible day and they qualify for the U.S. Open. So I'm really stoked about the U.S. Open. And the last thing for the Knockaround, Stick on Apple TV comes out Wednesday. I was there for the premiere. There I am. What do you think of the outfit, Ben?
Love the fit. I almost DM'd you that.
You should have.
I knew you were unplugged, so
I was in the wilderness. Yeah. I have a little cameo in this show. I think it's episode 9. I might win an Oscar for it. I light up the screen.
You do what you do best in this movie.
I light up the screen. It's a very quick cameo, but it is a cameo.
It is a cameo.
Yeah, that's a Knockaround. Great Knockaround. We're going to hop into a little season review of the NCAA golf season. So I was at NCAAs last week. I'm all in on it. We did 4 videos where I went and visited the different campuses. We did Auburn. They made it to match play. We did Florida. They made it to match play. We did Texas. They made it to match play. We did Georgia. They did not make it to match play, but I just want to go through some of my thoughts on the season. So we're going to start with Oklahoma State. They won their 12th national championship, and they are a golf school, a self-proclaimed golf school. And I think it's really cool that there's a golf school that exists, right? These other amazing programs, Florida, Auburn, Stanford, they're amazing programs. They're not necessarily golf schools, It's cool that we have a golf school. And when people who don't know about college golf, they ask, what's the best program? And you tell them Oklahoma State. They're like, well, that's interesting. It's cool that we have a golf school. I like that.
A lot of the good golf schools get overshadowed by like their football and basketball.
Yeah, it's
programs.
SEC.
Yeah.
It's just, Alabama. It's like they have a great golf program. They have a pretty damn good football program. Yeah. So Eric Lee made himself into an Oklahoma State legend. So he made a bunch of putts on the back 9 and then hit this most unbelievable shot on the 18th hole from the right kind of fescue, hit it to like 5 feet to clinch the national championship. We were going to have him on. I texted him and he said, I can't do it. I've got golf's longest day. So he's teeing it up in the sectional qualifier. But shout out to Eric Lee, big time performance. He and Ethan Fang were both a crucial part of the Oklahoma State team that won. They went to Cal for their freshman year together, and they both transferred out of Cal to Oklahoma State together. So pretty good decision. PGA Tour U weighs on these kids' mind big time. So I had a conversation with Devin Patel. He's a senior, just finished his senior year at the University of Virginia. He started the season as number 11, I believe, in PGA Tour U, and he ended up finishing number 27. So he got nothing. No. And we were talking about it, and he's like, it was just every single week I was just thinking about it and playing defense, and you can't play golf that way. And I said to him, that's the story of golf, though. That's the story of pro golf. You're always playing for the Tour Championship, or you're always playing for the Ryder Cup, or you're always playing to try to get into the top 100 so you get into the PGA. You're always playing to get into the top 50 again, the Masters. He was like, I know. I was like, it's actually a good lesson. But these kids, they think about, it's another. You used to be able to just kind of focus on the college season, and then your pro career was like a separate chapter. Mm-hmm. PGA Tour U has linked those two things together. And speaking of PGA Tour U, so it came out this morning from Brentley Romine, we love Brentley Romine, huge college golf.
Friend of the show.
He's our college golf consigliere. Yosele Ballester, so he's the number 6 amateur in the world and the reigning U.S. Amateur champion. He declined his Korn Ferry Tour membership that he earned through PGA Tour U. It sure seems like he's going to go to Live Golf. I don't know that for a fact, but he's close with John Rahm. He said no to playing on the Korn Ferry Tour. Seems like he's going that way. Also, he went to the toilet in Rays Creek.
So he's built for this.
I'm not saying that. You said that. I was just giving a little bit of information on Yosele Ballester. Look, everyone.
Energy is what I'm referring to.
Everyone is going to make their own decisions what they feel is best. But so him leaving bumped up a couple guys. So this is the guy's name I really can't pronounce. Fiction, something like that. The guy from Texas A&M.
Okay.
He finished second, I believe, to Michael Lasasso, who we're going to talk all about Michael Lasasso with Dr. Sasho Mackenzie later, because that golf swing is out of control. He won the national championship. I think the guy he finished second to was 6th in the PGA Tour U rankings, but because Yosele leaves, he moves up a spot and he gets to play on the Korn Ferry Tour. So it's a nice bonus for him. College golf is just so much fun, man. So much fun. I had such a good time going to the tournament. It's like golf camp, but all your best friends are +8 and you have the best facilities in the world. It's just, I was looking around and guys were having putting contests after their matches. They're playing little games with each other during the practice rounds for, $5 or whatever it is. Like, it's just so good. It's something about it that really warms the soul. One guy who was not at NCAAs is Gordon Sargent. So we've talked about Gordon on this show, but he was the number 1 amateur in the world at one point, I believe, won the NCAAs as a freshman, locked up his card through PGA Tour U Accelerated last season, decided not to turn pro, decided to come back to Vanderbilt for his senior season, and it all fell apart. outside the top 500 in the college rankings, and Vanderbilt didn't even bring him to regionals or to the national championship. So it's an interesting decision. I mean, he got compensated. Brentley told us that he got a lot of money to stay, but and Jackson,
it's a risky run going back.
It's the risky run, but also like who's to say that if he went on the tour, he wouldn't have also lost his game and maybe would have like lost his card quicker. You know what I mean? Yeah. So there's two sides of it, and Jackson Koiven is doing what Gordon Sargent did. So Jackson Koiven is the number 2 amateur in the world. He actually might be number 1 now because Luke Clanton is making his debut this week.
Yeah.
In fact, he definitely is making he's number 1 now. He's going back to Auburn. He's only a sophomore. So he's going back for his junior year. He's going to defer his PGA Tour card, and he never wavered on this. Ever since, last year I went down to Auburn at the end of last season in the summer, and he was already like getting up there in points, and he was like, I'm coming back. I love Auburn. So, and then we have Luke Clanton making his debut, and David Ford also. So he won PGA Tour U from the seniors, not accelerated. His team did not make it to nationals, UNC, and he did not make it as an individual. So he actually made his first professional start at Colonial a couple weeks ago, but he starts his official PGA. He has like a FedEx Cup points now.
He can get points now.
He can get points now. That starts this week. One thing I noticed this year in my college golf travels is they have more speed on average than tour pros. The average college guy swings it faster, I believe.
Why do you think that is?
It's because of a few things. They're young, so they're fast. But they grew up with TrackMan, so they know how to optimize. They've grown up with the knowledge of statistics and strategy and knowing that how much of an advantage hitting the ball far is, and they swing really hard because also there's not as much trouble out there on those courses, so they can like wallop away. So it's just, and they all hit cuts. Because they all swing so hard, they all hit those little push cuts.
Yeah.
I saw that like basically every single player. Match play. So the match play is just so fantastic. It's an underutilized asset in world golf. So the way that the NCAAs work is they play, all 30 teams play 3 rounds of stroke play, then they cut, and then the 15 teams play 1 final round of stroke play, and the top 8 teams move on to match play. Match play creates legitimate tension.
Yeah.
I'm not going to go into too much detail, but there was legitimate tension in the Virginia versus Oklahoma State match. Like legitimate tension. Like people were upset. And it brings that out of you. Here's Luke Poulter, son of Ian Poulter, who's done a few nice things in match play. Here's what I was talking to him about, kind of the difference of match play when I was at Florida.
Shot. Do you guys play different when you're in the match play? You're still just trying to shoot the low
I don't know,
score.
my mindset's different, though. I don't know why. It's just...
That's in your blood, bro.
Yeah, it's in there.
I don't know your dad. Your dad was like right before I started doing this. Does the dad's fieriness come out?
Yeah. I don't talk to my playing partners. I don't say one word to them. I just get going and take them down, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, that's competition. That's why we want to do this rivalry thing. Like,
Stop.
Because like when you're playing in a stroke play event and stuff, it's like everyone's nice. You're just... we want some of that juice.
For sure, yeah.
I want a club twirl to piss someone off, you know what I mean?
That's what we said. We said no matter what on the first tee, we're going to club twirl. Let's get it going.
That's that Florida Gator mentality. He didn't play college golf. He was like not even that good, right?
No, he turned pro at a 4 handicap and then just kind of...
Was he just
he
like...
lied. He lied about his score, about his handicap. I don't know what it is to become like a PGA professional, but he wasn't what the requirement was, but he lied about it. And then
so he never played like on the like junior teams and all that stuff.
No.
He just knew.
Yeah, he worked in a pro shop pretty much his whole.
But he just believed that he was going to be able to do it.
Yeah.
Sick.
Not too bad.
Yeah, it worked out.
That's what I'm saying about match play, though. Like even there's something just different. Even if it's one guy, like even if it's 2 guys who have separated themselves from the field, and they're playing stroke play, it's still different.
Yeah.
Like people were doing stuff at NCAAs. I saw it. That was like match play shit. Like standing pretty close, club twirling a lot, walking off the tee really fast.
I mean, you heard it. They think about that stuff.
Bro, I saw it with my own 2 eyes. Like, it's a real thing, and it only happens in match play. It's like the Ryder Cup. We see stuff in the Ryder Cup that we just never see. You never see Patrick Cantlay's caddy getting into it with Rory Mac. Like, it just doesn't happen in stroke play. So I just love one guy versus another guy. And, like, obviously they're not going to punch each other, but they might club twirl really aggressively.
Well, it's like every hole is a playoff, is a single playoff hole, right? So you're thinking about it compartmentalizing.
And it's so stressful because you're right. Every hole is like the hole. In stroke play, you can kind of cruise for the first 8 holes, first 9 holes. It's just not a thing.
As long as you're hanging. And
it shouldn't be that. Like that's what Luke was like. I don't know why my mentality. It's my IFB is being very, very stubborn today.
Ear rejection.
Yeah, it's he's like, I don't know why my mentality changes. you should, because you are just trying to beat everybody else, and match players trying to beat one person, but it does change, and I want to see more of it.
Was he saying that about his dad? That his dad like cheated to?
Yeah, Ian Poulter did not.
That's sick.
Yeah, he was a 4 handicap when he turned pro.
Respect points up for Ian.
Just grinding it out. The college rumor mill is electric. There's politics involved, coaching changes, transfer portal. There's all the talk of where's Miles Russell going to go. He can get contacted by coaches on June 15th. Where's Tyler Watts going to go? Now it's where's Charlie Woods going to go? There's the transfer portal. You've got guys who develop certain reputations on certain teams. There's a lot that surrounds the sport beyond just golf. And it's like a little catty, and I love it. It's like in college football where it's like, oh, they got a new coach in, he's going to bring in how's his recruiting. Like, there's just so much about it more than just, a lot of the PGA Tour sometimes is like, how's this guy going to play?
Yeah.
With the team dynamic, there's just something different about it. And then my last
starts to plant the seeds for like what the pressure and the tension in their pro careers are going to be, because like all this stuff happens in the years before you turn pro. Like, this guy got picked over me, or I went to this school because there was a spot from this. Like, that stuff lingers. Like, these guys will be the future winners.
Sam Burns still talks about not getting picked for the Walker Cup. Like, that's a big that's a big thing that it's always really, really bothered him.
Imagine you get you miss a spot on a team because that team picks Charlie Woods, even though you feel like you're a better player than Charlie Woods. Like, that chip's going to be on your shoulder with Charlie forever.
It's politics. My last little thing, I just had a really good conversation with Derek Ernst. So Derek Ernst, winner on the PGA Tour. I believe he won at Quail Hollow. He's only 35 years old. He's an assistant coach now at Oklahoma State. Was kind of struggling in the professional game, and he just got he's going to be going to the University of Tennessee next year as a first assistant coach. He's moving up the ranks, and I asked him, is this what you're going to do, like, full time? And he said, I still want to play. I said, how's that work? He said, well, University of Tennessee has unbelievable facilities. I'm just going to practice with the kids, basically, and just kind of be involved. So a lot of cool characters in college golf. It's
life hack there.
Yeah, just like, now it's true golf sicko stuff. You're assistant coach and still trying to chase your own dreams. So amazing season in college golf. Going to be following the amateur stuff this off season. These guys all play kind of a tour schedule, quote unquote tour schedule. They play the Western Am, USAM, all this stuff, and then we'll be back in the fall. We're hopefully going to get to some more colleges and do some more of the college series. You guys have seemed to be digging the stuff we've done.
That's what I was going to say. Thank you to the dog audience. Thank you, sickos, for loving our college golf content. Good job.
More to come.
Glad you like it, and you're going to give us ability to do more of it. So thanks.
More to come. All right, we're going to bring on another guest, Mark Blackburn. He is, according to Golf Digest, the #1 golf coach in America, and he coaches some of the best players in the world. He's worked with so many tour pros for so long. Let's bring him on. Mark Blackburn. Mark, there he is.
What's up?
What's going on? Mark, I wanted to ask you, #1 coach in America, what do you make of those lists?
Golf's cyclical, right? So if your players are playing well at the right time, the one thing I guess Butch Harmon said to me, which was pretty cool, in that #1 ranking from Golf Digest is called the Butch Harmon Award. He said this award is great because it's voted on by your peers. So I guess your body of work is voted on by the people that are voters. So I think it's kind of cool, at least people acknowledge what you do. But it's a list, right? So if guys that you coach are playing well, there's a recency bias to it. I think anyone could probably get to the top of the list. So it's one of those things. If you look at the top 10 on that list, they're all the mainstay coaches on the PGA Tour, and they're all very, very successful, and they're all great coaches. So look, it's opinion, right? You were talking about politics earlier. Some people are really good politically and they navigate situations, and other people aren't. So it's always an honor. It's from your peers. It's great, but it's just a list. There's plenty of amazing coaches that aren't even on that list.
Do you still get pleasure out of helping? Do you still see like 10 handicaps, or do you not have time? And do you still, or are you one of these coaches who what motivates you is coaching the best players in the world?
No, I'm here at Greystone, our academy. I was working with a club golfer on Friday. It's one of those things where I'll teach anybody who wants to learn. I still enjoy the problem solving, the critical thinking part of it. That's what I enjoy. I tend to spend more time with better players, but if there's members here at Greystone that want lessons, or anyone in public, if I've got some available hours, still do it, teach lots of corporate golfers that are probably not that good, in the range of probably 8 to 20. So, yeah, I mean, anybody that wants to learn, that's the fun part, is helping people.
One of the guys you've been working with recently is Justin Rose. He's got kind of a unique swing in that, like, a little bit of a cupped wrist. What's been your experience working with Jay Rose? And when a player like that, he's had so much success around the world, and he comes to you, what is that process like of a legend of the game coming to you for help with their golf swing?
So, yeah, Rosie's obviously had a phenomenal career, and he's a great player. So I think it's one of those things where when somebody comes to you, you're looking at, okay, what's the opportunity here? Where are they struggling? What do they do? And every player is unique, and every pattern of swing is unique. So I'd say one of the things that's a little different with me than perhaps other coaches is that none of the guys I coach swing the same, but their ball striking stats generally tend to get pretty competent. So it was one of those things where, let's look at what Rosie did really well. Just like when I gave you a lesson, I screened him first and looked at his movement pattern, and then was like, okay, what does your body want to do? What are you doing now that deviates from what your body wants to do? And then, what shot shape do you want, and how are we going to accommodate that based on the movement you've got? And success leaves clues, right? So for Rosie, the work that he and Foles did was really, really good. He kind of, COVID was a difficult period for everybody. He Rosie's a notorious tinker, kind of tinkered around and probably did some stuff on his own that he shouldn't have done, and he kind of got lost. I got an opportunity. Phil Kenyon, I owed a favor because I'd gotten to help Max Homa in 2020. And so I think in 22, maybe he asked me if I would help Rosie. I think that's when it was. So I owed Phil a favor. And then I kind of looked at Rosie, what he'd done before. And then really, there were lots of ingredients that were successful. Why did that work? Okay, that matches what his body did. Okay, this is the shot he wants to hit. So I basically gave him quite a bit of clarity. Took a lot of the ingredients that were good, he had success with, that he and Sean used, and then added in some of the things I thought he was missing, and then also pieces that would match his physicality, because he's obviously older now. And then along with Charlie Marshall, his physio and trainer, and Justin Buckthorpe, we kind of built a program in the gym. So he's working on his golf swing when he's not just hitting golf balls. And Rosie's a dream to coach. He's a phenomenal athlete. He's also a great student. A lot of times I have to keep him on the straight and narrow, but as most people who have worked with me know, I don't have a problem telling you how it is. I'm much more Nick Saban or Bill Parcells than I am new age Zen coaching.
I like that. You mentioned Max Homa. You coached him to the greatest heights of his career. Were you surprised when he decided to part ways with you? And I've seen you comment on some of the stuff I've been posting on Max, that him and John Scott Rattan are working on some good stuff. What do you make of kind of his decision? And I guess it's sort of part of the job as a coach.
So look, the players do what players need to do. I'm a former player, so I totally understand it. Max and I had a great run. A job as a coach is to protect your players. So last year, the elephant in the room is President's Cup, because obviously Max had played phenomenally well in Rome on the Ryder Cup. He wants to make the President's Cup team. He's also wanting to make the top 50 on the FedEx. So there's always, I call it President Cup-itis and Ryder Cup-itis. They go along with things. And so there's certain times when you need to change something, but you're trying to be as uninvasive as possible because you're trying to protect the player. So sometimes that means that you do the right thing so that the player can play better. When players try and change things, which they need to change, if the timing isn't right, and timing is everything in coaching, the collateral damage can be far worse. So obviously, Max decided, okay, this isn't what I want to do. I'm going to change, and him and John Scott doing some great stuff, very similar to what he was doing at his best, which is kind of the direction. When I left Max, I sent him a video. I said, buddy, wishing you all the best. Here's what I think you need to do. Just as a parting gift. And it looks quite similar to what I advocate, which is very much what he was doing, President's Cup, Quail Hollow. So it all kind of comes full circle. John Scott's an excellent coach. Jason Glass is helping Max in the gym, so his body is a lot better. I think he's able to move like you did back then now. So he's doing some great stuff. And look, golf is a very small world. You treat people, you do a good job. We had a lot of success. We won a lot of golf tournaments, got to top 10 in the world. It was a lot of fun. Love Max, he's great. They're doing a good job. It is what it is. It's just part of the business. Like, you cannot take it personally. I worked with Russell Henley, starting on the Florida swing. Russell and I split up last week before Memorial, because Russell said, I love what we're doing, but I need to get back to doing what I was doing. I know it's right. I know you want to measure me, but I don't want to do anything that's drastically different right now. I want to make the Ryder Cup. And I totally get that. So again, I help that person on their journey. My job as a coach is to help you and help you get better. And I think it's one of those things, you leave every relationship like you could go back to it. You pull for the players. I've, fiscally speaking, done really well for those players, and those players have done really well because of my information. So I think it's great. You pull for them. It's a small community. It's just, that's golf, right? It is what it is. I'm very fortunate to get to coach these players, and fortunately, my results bring more players to me. So I'm very lucky.
Yeah, you are indeed. But you're also very good at what you do, and I could listen to you talk for a long time. Speaking of which, are we allowed to tease? You've got a little content coming out yourself.
Yeah. So I'm working on finishing up. I'm doing this actually as we've been speaking before this morning.
I was going to say, don't be doing it while we're speaking, my friend.
No. I'm finishing up my book. I have finished it. Matt Rudy and I have written a book together called The Coaching Code, which is kind of these tenets on, it's not a technical golf book. It's more about like coaching and how you coach and the scenarios and learning and things that other coaches, it's not just a golf book. Probably you could use it in business and other things. So I'm really excited about that. And then I'm also working on this project called Skill Swap, which is essentially when I take a high performer and do an interview with them in exchange for a golf lesson with Golf Digest #1 coach in America. So it's a YouTube show, chops in and out between the podcast, which sits on its own, and then also the show. So then we kind of use some of the parallels from their interview and then bring it to their golf game, and they get to work on a different part of the game. They tell me what they want to work on when we first start, and then we kind of set it up, and that's the area of their game we focus on. So it's kind of nice because you're blending the golf with the sort of, if you like, education on high performance and what makes that person successful, whether they're a musician, whether they're an athlete, whether they're a celebrity, whatever it may be, an expert in their field. And then what's the learning that we can take as individuals to help us better ourselves. And then they get a little bit of a golf experience and a golf lesson. So the goal is to do some of them here at Greystone, and then I'll be doing some of them at Oceanside at Titleist's TPI facility. So, looking to drop all those. I filmed all the pilots, pitching those to some people, and then hopefully we're going to drop that starting in the fall.
Awesome. I'll be a very interested viewer. Mark gave me a lesson 2 years ago now. We were in the gym, and he was able to dissect my swing, or he was able to identify my lifelong swing problems without ever seeing me swing a golf club.
Without even hitting the ball.
Without even hitting a ball. He was like, your hips don't move that well. Your T-spine moves well, so I'm guessing you do this, and you probably hump a little bit. And I was like, that's exactly right. Mark, thank you so much. You're the man.
You got it. Thanks, guys, for having me on. Appreciate it.
We'll talk to you soon. All right, it's time for the next blind ranking. I get more excited for these every week because I feel like we're getting better at choosing topics. We're getting better at clipping them up. It's blind ranking season. I'm going to get my whiteboard right now while my personal Ted Scott tells you what the topic is.
What's up, y'all? It's Ted Scott here with another dance moment. This is we've done a lot of people so far, so I wanted to switch it up. Start to talk about things that real golf sickos obsess about.
Okay.
Are golf landmarks.
Golf landmarks.
Now, a landmark, in many senses, can be thought of as a hole, right? Like the 17th at Sawgrass is a golf landmark.
Yeah.
I didn't put any golf holes on this list. It just needs to be something that's there, that people identify with golf.
Famous things at golf courses.
Famous things in golf, the thing that people take pictures of.
Let's go.
Right? There are a few from similar courses. Andy, you got a note?
No, he just told me to close my laptop.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, he always
does. A few from similar courses, because some places are just so iconic.
Someone tells me Augusta National has a few landmarks.
Perhaps, there might be a few. But we're going to start on the news cycle here. The Oakmont Church Pew bunkers are your first item to rank here.
Church Pew bunkers are a good one. We have, when I was a member of New York, Quaker Ridge Golf Club, we had something very similar on the left side of the 14th hole. I called them synagogue seats.
Yeah.
Because it's a bit of a Jewish club over there. The Church Pew bunkers are iconic. Very, very much in the news right now with Oakmont coming up soon. I'm going to put these number 4 just because I sort of don't know what's coming. So I'm going to start in the middle. We're putting Church Pews at Oakmont as number 4 on our golf landmarks.
I've learned the first one being a really good one makes your job harder because you're like, I don't know what else.
Your job is to make my job harder.
That's right. That's what my job is here.
Okay.
Okay. Speaking of Augusta National, we'll go with the Hogan Bridge as our first from there.
You know, USLA pissed off it, I think. Actually, I don't know if it was that. I don't know if that's probably not
Maybe
true.
that's where he did it.
I'm not sure. You know, I'm going to put it kind of low on the list because I feel like of all the Augusta things, Hogan Bridge is not really in the top 5. You know, I'm thinking about the pimento cheese sandwiches, thinking about the opening tee shot. I don't know if those are both on the list, but I'm thinking about the par 3 contest. Like, I just think as far as iconic places at Augusta National, it's not where my head goes. So I'm putting it number 8.
Okay. I think that's really fair. I think you did a good job considering what else is here.
Thank you.
So we're talking monuments, things that people take pictures of. This one, it makes the worst photograph ever, but people always take pictures of it. The Bethpage Black warning sign.
It's pretty iconic, though.
It's like the same. I've seen the same picture a million times, and everybody has to take.
Well, I had that experience at Yosemite where I was like, should I take a picture? And I was like, this picture is literally already the background on my computer. Like, Apple, all their stuff's at Yosemite. It's like, I could take this photo or I could just look at my computer.
I have this photo for the record. Like, it's probably on my Instagram grid if you scroll back.
Yeah. It's a good one, though, man. It's a good one. And I think Bethpage is growing in how iconic it is. You know, I think with the Ryder Cup coming on, it's going to be even bigger. They're having a bunch of major championships there. They've had U.S. Opens. I'm putting the Bethpage sign at number 2. I like this. It's accessible. You know, people can actually go see it.
Yeah.
Right? Like, how many people are going to play Oakmont? Not that many.
How many people have ever walked over Hogan's Bridge? Not many.
Even smaller. So, yeah, I'm saying Bethpage Black sign number 2 because it's the People's Country Club. And it sets the tone. You know you're going to get kicked in the mouth. I'm getting number 2. I'm a big fan of that sign.
It's the People's Warning.
It's the People's Warning.
All right, next up, an icon in the sport, Putter Boy at Pinehurst. The Putter Boy stick.
Yeah, I know what you're talking about. It's a good one. It's definitely a good one. But I'm not sure it's even the best statue at Pinehurst.
You'd pick Payne over this one?
I think I would pick Payne Stewart over this one, just with, you know, all the significance. So it's sort of in the same category for me as Hogan Bridge. If you said statue Pinehurst, I'm thinking Payne Stewart. So I'm going number 9.
Okay.
Putter Boy at Pinehurst. But it's a cool logo. Very cool logo.
It's really fair.
Like if it was a logo list, which it's not, which maybe that's a good topic for the future.
Got the note.
Yeah, you got the note? Okay. I'm putting Putter Boy at Pinehurst at number 9.
Okay, this one's, I guess it might be a little fringe. I wasn't familiar with its like fame, but the Lone Fir at Chambers Bay. Are you familiar with this?
Nope.
All right, take a look at it.
Not familiar at all.
How nice is that?
Number 10, just because, I mean, it's a beautiful tree, and that's a beautiful tee shot of Jordan Spieth winning. But Chambers Bay, you know, Aaron Hill's had its redemption arc. Chambers Bay needs to have its.
Yeah, it does.
I thought you were going to say Lone Cypress up in Monterey Peninsula, but that's not even really on a golf course. I'm going number 10, Chambers. What do we call it? Lone Fir?
Lone Fir, yeah.
Okay. I was still in college when they had the U.S. Open there, so I was not as locked in as I am now on golf. Number 10. All right, let's do okay. We got number 10, Chambers Bay Lone Fir. Number 9, Putter Bag at Pinehurst. Number 8, Augusta Hogan Bridge. Number 4, Church Pews at Oakmont. Number 2, Bethpage Black sign. It's a great topic.
All right, next up is a famous waterway that we talk about a lot on this show.
Rays Creek?
Rays Creek.
So Rays Creek is much more iconic for me than the bridge that goes over it.
I agree.
I'm putting Rays Creek at number 3, even with a little bit of urine in it. Rays Creek is number 3, in between Bethpage Black sign and Church Pews at Oakmont.
It's diluted by now.
It's diluted, yes, by piss.
The next one was one I didn't necessarily want to put it on here because it felt so obvious, but I think that's why it has to be considered. It's the Harbortown Lighthouse.
Oh, the red and white one.
Yeah.
I'm putting it number 7. It's good. I think, you know, Harbortown is just, when I think of Harbortown, I just think of like really, really chill because it's the week after the Masters and everyone's kind of coming down off the Augusta high. But it's beautiful and it's very noticeable. Like you know exactly what Harbortown is. Another one that's accessible. You can actually go play Harbortown. A number 7 for me. So we got number 1, number 5, and number 6 left.
1, 5, and 6 left. And you have 3 left here. This one, I didn't think of it as a monument until I really thought about it, and I think it absolutely is. Magnolia Lane at Augusta National.
Oh, we're going back to Augusta. This is, wow, I did not think we were going to have so much
For the
Augusta
last time,
here.
I'll tell you. Yeah,
okay, for the last time. Magnolia Lane is going to go just below Church Pews at Oakmont. I think this is one where it's so inaccessible. That's part of the mystique, right? Like, I've covered the Masters so many times. I've been to Augusta so many times. You don't get to drive up Magnolia Lane unless you're playing the golf course. So I'm putting Magnolia Lane number 5.
Our colleagues Brittany and Nicole got to drive down Magnolia Lane in a Mercedes this year.
Oh, well,
guests of Mercedes.
I guess you don't get to drive down Magnolia Lane unless you're playing the course or you're a corporate sponsor.
Or you're a corporate sponsor. All right, you actually teased this one, and I am going to count it as a golf monument, the Lone Cypress at Pebble Beach, because it is on the 17-mile drive where all this stuff is.
So can we get the camera back on me for a second?
There's a tat.
It's number 1 for that reason.
That's right.
It's my favorite place. It's not really. Is it a goal? I guess it's the. Is it the logo of Pebble Beach?
It is, and it's part of that. I think that
it's
whole
on the
area
17-mile drive. It's number 1. Carmel, California is my most beautiful, my number 1 place in the world.
Down Shipnuck.
There is a universe where I moved there. Like that's going to happen at some point in my life. It's I have a tattoo to my body. I also have a picture of it, like a big photo in my childhood bedroom. So there's a lot of sentimental connection for me to the Lone Cypress, and it's just, I just have really, really fond memories of my times in that. I've been there with my dad. I went there with my college golf team. I've been there with my wife. Like it's just, I like bringing people in my life to the Lone Cypress.
I like the pick. I want you to show the audience where you're going to be putting the Swilken Bridge now.
Wow, people are not going to like how low that is because that is as iconic as it gets. Here's the list. The Swilken Bridge, this is just, I didn't know it was coming, and but it is, I would, I do this every time. I'm like, if I could redo the list, here's where I put it, but that's not the process. The Swilken Bridge is number 6, so we're starting number 10. Chambers Bay, Lone Fir, Putter Bag at Pinehurst, Augusta, Hogan Bridge, Harbortown, Lighthouse, Swilken Bridge, number 6, number 5, Magnolia Lane, number 4, Church Pews at Oakmont, number 3, Race Creek, number 2, Bethpage Black Sign, and number 1, this one is personal, the Lone Cypress. Terrific job, Ben.
Thank you.
That was that was just a great segment. We're getting better at that. Really, really good topics. And we're going to move on to Give Me a Winner. Rick Game, we were 0 for again last week, two straight 0-fers, and Rick's streak of being live on the show has ended. Rick had to travel today, so he's flying, and he pre-recorded his picks for us. I'm thinking maybe he didn't want to show his face after 2 bad weeks. And I will say that he gets one of these. He gets one of these.
One excused absence.
He gets one excused absence, and we're gonna say the streak is still alive because he's still appearing on the show. But just make a note of the excused absence.
The streak's alive.
All right, here's his picks.
All right, fellas, here we go. TPC Toronto for this week in the Canadian Open. I'm feeling a little bit frisky. We've got a golf course that we've never seen on the PGA Tour at TPC Toronto, and I think when you look at the satellite imagery, there's not a ton of trouble out here, kind of just looking for raw skill, birdie makers, and obviously with no course history, that doesn't hurt the rookies or the debutantes. So with that being said, looking at the winner market, and it feels like a Luke Clanton.
Yes, let's go. Let's go.
This kid's making his professional debut, but not even close to his first career PGA Tour start. I mean, he's been piling up great finishes for what seems like a year now. He's got a couple of top 10s, and this is going to be a golf course that really allows him to lean into his skill sets, which we've seen in a small-ish sample size, but not a super small sample size. He's been a very, very, very strong ball striker on the PGA Tour, certainly not out of his league or outclassed in a field like this. Then I'm looking at like the top 20 market for somebody like Jake Knapp. Again, this is hit it far, go find it, hit a wedge, and make as many birdie putts as you can. I love the raw talent from Jake Knapp. He's missed 2 cuts in a row. It was Quail Hollow and Colonial. we are as far away from those golf courses as possible. I'm thinking of the same skill sets where he was able to, go low with Frankie Sappin at the Zurich Classic, where he was able to, put up basically a half a stroke or 2/3 of a stroke per round off the tee. That skill set's going to be incredibly valuable this week at TPC Toronto. And then
Girlfriend's
how about we
Canadian,
continue this theme of young guys, raw talent, getting to play a golf course that nobody has seen on the PGA Tour. And let's go with Johnny Kiefer. Top 40 would be the market that has me most interested. If you don't know who Johnny Kiefer is, he's out of Baylor, incredibly talented. He's been playing a Korn Ferry Tour schedule. He won the Veritex Bank Championship right at the end of April. He's played like 12 events on the Korn Ferry Tour. He's got a bunch of top 12 finishes, including his most recent start, which was last week at the UNC Health Championship, runner-up in Knoxville, his start before that the week prior. So this kid's coming. He's coming in a hurry, and this is a really good place for him to level the playing field a little bit and make a good run on the leaderboard. All right, fellas. Chat soon. Good luck.
All right, I have a couple takeaways. Andy, do we have the odds?
Yeah, so we're going to...
Okay, can we show the first two odds? All right, so I have a few thoughts. Luke Clanton is 35-1 to win. So
we can get a lot of nugs on that one.
If you don't bet on Luke Clanton this week, you're a loser. Electric pick with the mustache.
This is field pick by. He didn't even have the odds.
He didn't even have the odds. Yeah, he eyeballed it. Luke Clanton. There's maybe never been, not never, but I'm so sure that he's going to be a really, really good player on the PGA Tour because he's already been a really good player on the PGA Tour. Jake Knapp, top 20. His girlfriend, McKenna, who is hilarious on social media, is Canadian, so there's a little bit of love there. And then Johnny Kiefer, Johnny Kiefer, Sloan Kettering, Johnny Hopkins, and myself shared a doobie bag.
You guys were the dream bump.
We were the dream team. So great picks from our guy Rick Gehman. And, I was a little honesty button. I was a little bit skeptical of the pre-recorded. It worked out.
Yeah, it worked out. I like the idea of it. It's a blind ranking followed by the blind.
Yeah, we're just doing the blind show. We're just basically trying to get to a place where we don't have to prepare for anything, and we can just react live on the show. I'm kidding, obviously. A guy who prepares a lot because he is a professor of sports biomechanics at St. Francis Xavier University and the co-developer of the Stack system, which everyone is using to get faster. Dr. Sasho Mackenzie joining us live on the show. Hello. Still waiting for his camera to turn on. Are we? We're on a holding pattern with Dr. Sasho. Here we go, Sasho. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. No, Sasho.
Mic's on. Hang on.
Mic's on. This is great television here. Should I do the Schwab? Should I go to Schwab instead? Okay, I'm going to Schwab. Quick break from the tour talk for a second. We'll get back to Dr. Sasho Mackenzie because if you're into golf podcasts, and you got to be, you're here, you're watching / listening to this one. I got a new one. It's called Invested in the Game. It's an original podcast from Charles Schwab. When I heard this, I was like, what do you mean, Charles Schwab, the investing guys? What are they doing a golf podcast? Why? It's a fair question. Turns out they're already doing 5 other podcasts, which to be expected are in the marketing and investing space, all solid listens. But this new one, it's a little different. They wanted to branch out, get into the personal passions of their clients because even the most hardcore investors have lives outside of trading platforms and balance sheets. And one of those passions is golf, big time. Golf has always been near and dear to Schwab and their clients. Schwab has supported the game for years through events, promotions, and sponsorships at both the professional and collegiate level. And now they're telling the stories behind the game. The stories of people who have poured their time, energy, money, and their hearts into golf. The stories that remind us why we all keep coming back despite the snap hooks, flubs, and 3-putts. You'll hear guests like Andy Johnson from Friday Golf and Dottie Pepper from CBS. Again, it's called Investing in the Game from Charles Schwab. Check it out at schwab.com/thegame or wherever you get your podcasts. Are we back with Dr. Sasho Mackenzie? We got him.
I think so.
I hear you. There he is.
All right.
All right, we're back. Dr. Sasho Mackenzie. So I was looking at your bio. We've chatted before in the past. It's been a little while. It says you are like are you a coach to coaches? Is that a fair sort of description for what you do?
I think so, based on the last number of conversations I've had about tour players the last few weeks, yeah. I think so. I've talked to a lot of coaches about their players. Yeah.
So what exactly, like, how would you, a sports biomechanist, how would you describe your work? What are the conversations that you have most often with coaches?
Well, I think usually it starts with the coach having a theory. It's a big deal to change a player's mechanics. So if a player is struggling, the coach has a theory about how they can improve it, and usually they run that theory by me to make sure that it makes sense, that it's it's not made up. They're not guessing. It's grounded in some research.
And so what do you think has been your biggest discovery, like in golf? What, because obviously your name comes up all the time in conversation with these coaches. They consult with you. What is the piece of information or sort of approach that turns on the light bulb for these coaches?
It's everything from putting to speed, but probably the biggest one has to do with, a kind of a complex understanding of how the face squares in the golf swing. There's the ability to get, not to go too technical, Dan.
No, go technical. Go super technical. That's why we have you on.
Okay, so it's there's a concept that I figured out during my PhD. It's kind of a very abstract way to square the face, where the center of mass of the golf club gets below the force that the golfer is applying in the downswing. I saw it doing some modeling work, Forward Dynamics modeling. I have a 3D model of a golfer that can simulate certain things. That was the start of it during my PhD thesis. But then when I started to work with players and get data collected by lots of different systems, including in my own lab, and you can see that the best players, when they're playing their best, they have this mechanism. And certainly high handicappers do not. And then there's been lots of case studies where I've worked with tour players where they've kind of lost their swing. They just don't have that feeling like, the club is being slotted. They don't really know whether the face is going to be slightly open or slightly closed, not a comfortable feeling. And I've worked through that with a few players to help them kind of get back in the groove.
Tell me about developing the stack system. I remember when Fitzy won the U.S. Open, that put it, sort of on the map big time. But tell me about the development of that program and what the sort of core principles are for helping people gain speed.
Yeah, as a biomechanist, my first approach working with tour players to get speed was to change their mechanics. But kind of drawing on my track and field background, realized that training has to be part of that, and while you're doing the physical training, overload, overspeed training, you're working on those swing mechanics. And so that's the stack system in a nutshell. Some hardware that allows you to swing things slightly faster than your driver, swing things slightly heavier than your driver, and pairs with an app that provides custom programming, right? So it allows me to work remotely with someone like Fitzpatrick, someone who had the potential, but maybe wasn't necessarily doing the right stuff in the gym, putting in the time, but not really seeing it translate to increased speed on the course. And we had a great, still going. He had the, longest drive and number 2 on Sunday at the PGA Championship, right? I think he had 184 ball speed on that one. So that's keeping him competitive to win majors. It's a great product.
Are you the USGA's worst enemy when it comes to distance?
I feel like, yeah, maybe. Well, I feel like I could be a guiding light based on some of their premises. I feel like personally, from the stack system perspective, roll the ball back. Everybody's going to need the stack system, but I think it's not the way to go. Aside from helping my business with the necessity of gaining speed, I don't think it's going to accomplish what they want to accomplish by slowing the ball down.
Because of your analysis of the physics of how it will actually happen, or why do you say that?
Well, they're basing it on current data and making some false assumptions. So you would look at tour average club head speed, 115, 116, and they go, right, well, we could see this increasing to 120, and if we slow the ball down, then we're all good. Hey, it took us 10 years to go, to get 4 miles an hour faster. This is probably we'll reach the limit. They're missing the fact that fast is 160 mile an hour club head speed. So there are hundreds of really good golfers who can swing the club at 130 plus. Tony Finau is an example of overnight. If you slowed the ball down to a squash ball, he'd tee it up in the first tee and swing at 140. Bryson's already there. So you're going to weed out all the Brian Harmons. We're not going to see them. What's currently limiting the club head speeds we see that are contributing to the averages is predominantly course setup and golfers trying to maximize. So
you're saying these guys have way more, like I was actually just talking about this because I've been doing a lot of stuff with college golf, and those kids swing out of their shoes. So you think if the courses were less penal, these guys, the speeds would go up overnight.
Overnight, instantaneously. So there would be probably 20 guys on tour that would just go from 180 ball speed to, depending on how they slow the ball down. But let's say from 120 clubhead speed to 125. Guys would go from 125 to 130. It would be overnight because, that cone of dispersion, if you slow the ball down, that means that, okay, now we're back here in the fairway. Right? So now I can just swing harder and have the ball go to the same places. You look at some really, I think, great courses, TPC Sawgrass, you have guys hitting driver off the tee, you have guys hitting on the same tee, hybrid. Balls are going in the same position. Harmon's hitting a driver, Schauffele's hitting a hybrid. All of a sudden you slow the ball down. Brian Harmon's not even there to hit a driver. Schauffele's hitting his driver. And all these young kids coming up are hitting their driver. And you're going to have basically the PGA Tour self-selecting for folks that can swing at 130. That's what's going to happen. So the limiting factor on clubhead speed right now is maximizing strokes gained. You slow the ball down. In order to maximize strokes gained, you're going to need more clubhead speed. And there's guys that are just waiting to do that.
I wanted to ask you about a few specific golf swings. Bryson DeChambeau, he's super long, but he does it in kind of a different way. It's not a crazy amount of lag. And I was watching, Blades Brown. He kind of swings it similarly. What do you make of those those are almost more like golf, the golfing machine. Are you like familiar with those, all those principles?
Yeah, I'm very, very familiar with the golfing machine. Don't really espouse to it too much. And I don't think anything that's working for Bryson would be despite his early concepts of applying the golfing machine to his swing. I think maybe he doesn't have a ton of lag at the wrist, but he's got amazing stretches at all the other joints in transition. His transition sequence, in addition to all the fast twitch and his ability, his muscular ability, but from a mechanic standpoint, his transition sequence is amazing as far as I'm concerned. That's what separates him.
All right, Michael Lasasso. So this kid just won the national championship individual, and this golf swing is really something. When it feels like kind of the extreme example of like the Joaquin Neiman sort of side bend, but there's a pause in there. What do you make of this from a biomechanical standpoint?
Yeah, kid has a ton of fast twitch. So he can have that pause. He can get into some maybe non-classic positions, but if your muscles can contract crazy fast at high speeds, driver's not very heavy, you can generate very high clubhead speeds. I don't see anything wrong with it.
I guess my question is sort of like with what a lot of work that you do, and Brandel's been talking a lot about this, about like these golf swings, it's going to be like a more steep peak, that it's a shorter peak for these careers, because he feels like, or he said that, they're putting a lot of stress on their bodies, and maybe that's what the game goes to, right? Like football players have a short career, and they, if they damage their body, but they make money in the process, that's part of it. Do you buy that? I mean, we saw Will Zalatoris, he's really struggling with back injuries. Are these injuries sort of inevitable? Are there going to be more golfer injuries, I guess, is a long way of asking that question.
Yeah, I don't think so. No, I don't believe that that's the case. I believe predicting injury with athletes is nearly impossible, especially elite athletes, where the reason why they're there is because their bodies aren't like, everybody else's. They can do really freakish things. I look at Will Zalatoris, and you might say, well, arguably he's changed his swing to, safeguard against back issues. And even though he changed his swing a little bit, hey, that's, he's maybe even done more damage than, or just as much damage as when he was swinging a little differently. But I would look at what kinds of ranges of motion can the golfer get into passively or actively outside the golf swing. So maybe walking Niemann can, turn himself into a pretzel. So the stresses that he's going to experience on his body swinging that way, aren't really that big of a deal. But I agree with you. At the elite level, there is going to be some trade-off. It might not be because of the mechanics, but simply because of the high number of reps. If we go to a sport where you're kind of, really safeguarding against injury, pitching in American baseball, but those guys get down to the pitch count. They like come the end of the week, they're like, all right, how many pitches have you taken? Stop. And even number of pitches of a certain type. Golfers, it was awesome at the Masters seeing the number of shots they were taking on the range. That was fantastic. You could never see athletes in a lot of other sports take those number of repetitions. Long drive guys, thousands of swings a week, but we don't see them necessarily getting super injured all the time compared to other sports. So it's a nice talking point, but I don't think there's anything we can predict based on how a golfer looks, especially when, there are lots of NCAA athletes in basketball, volleyball, track and field where after they do their competition, they are sore. They feel beat up. A lot of these golfers, I bet you walking Niemann's probably woke up, jumped out of bed every day and never thought twice about his back.
He told me, I asked him this question, I did a video caddying for him. He's like, I've never had a single back issue in my entire career. I've never had any pain or anything.
Yeah, ask an NCAA Division I volleyball player how their knees feel. I bet you they probably can't sit in a plane for 2 hours without being in excruciating pain. So, yeah, I'm not too concerned about what might be perceived as odd mechanics that could or maybe or will lead to an injury in golf.
My last question for you, I want to leave our listeners and our viewers with something. If you could give one piece of advice, I know beyond start the stack system, they go to the gym. What should they be working on? What should they be targeting with their bodies to try to get better at golf?
Yeah, I think mobility for most people is up there, but you do need so there's tons of great stuff on the internet. We've got a great warm-up in the stack system, but I think mobility for a lot of people, but you need a minimum level of strength as well. So I've got no problem with someone doing deadlifts or pull-ups to be able to, develop a base level of strength. If you're looking to golf your best or golf your longest, that's going to be the way to do it. Stay strong, stay mobile. I wouldn't worry too much about cardio.
Yeah, I'm in that boat. I did a disc in my back and in September of last year, and I went into physical, and they were like, the only way to get this better is to get strong. And so I've been powerlifting, and I haven't had any issues. You create like a strong base around your quads, glutes, abs, core, and the back issues kind of melt away.
Hips and shoulders are massive, and usually if you're trying to work on hip mobility, the lower back is getting worked as well. But two joints, anything you do to help you improve your hip mobility and shoulder mobility, and throw a little bit of strength in there with some squats, deadlifts, pull-ups.
Nothing new under the sun. You know what I mean? Just classic stuff.
No. Classic stuff. Absolutely.
Awesome. Well, thank you, Dr. Sasho Mackenzie. We've really enjoyed having you on the show. We'll do this again sometime soon.
Awesome. Thanks for having me on, Dan.
Good stuff. Smart guy.
Yeah, I could talk to him all day. I wanted to ask him, I thought of it too late, but do clothes have a factor in your speed? And is guys wear tight clothes on tour because it actually is better for speed versus days?
So are the Malbon boys basically?
Or the Malbon boys? Yeah. How many miles per hour do the baggy pants take off your swing?
Yeah, I will say baggy pants in the wind are a bit of a nuisance.
Yeah, distracting.
They move around a lot.
Yeah.
Dog of the week, one of our tentpole segments here on Dan on Golf. Dog, D-O-G, Dan on Golf. Welcome to the show. Our dog of the week is Keegan Bradley. So Keegan's an anxious guy by nature, and I thought that being the Ryder Cup captain this year would be really hard for him to maintain his game. I thought it was just going to be too much, and we'd start to see him slip. And I thought that after he missed the cut at the Masters, I'm thinking this is natural. He's going to go into captain mode. It's been the opposite. He's come back big time. So since the Masters, we got his results here. T18 at the RBC Heritage, T30 at the Truist, tied for 8th at the PGA Championship, tied for 7th at the Memorial Tournament. He is 18th in the world rankings. He's 18th in data golf. and I use Data Golf as like my Bible. He's the 9th highest ranked American in Data Golf. There's 12 spots on that Ryder Cup team. So what's going to happen? He said he won't do both. Here I was asking him about this at Quail Hollow a couple weeks ago. Here it is.
I don't know. I want to help the team the best I can. If that means playing, then I'll do that. But, I think it's pretty difficult to do both. But I have incredible vice captains, including Jim Furyk, who's done this before. Snedeker and Webb and Kisner have all been assistants. So we got a great team. But when it comes down to if I think that's going to help us win, that's what I'll do. But that's the only thought in my head.
We're creeping closer to that eventuality, or at least potential, of the PGA of America goes out on this limb to bring in this captain who's so much younger. Then he wins the very next week at the BMW. He gets in the conversation, and then they just end up with Jim Furyk as the captain. Because that's what I took from that, is that if he's playing, Jim Furyk is going to captain that team. Yeah. It's the better he plays, the more he keeps it up. It's going to come down to his decision if he's in. Like, let's say it was tomorrow. Okay, he's right on the cusp, right? Like, does he feel like what he can add to the team over as a player, because he's not doing both, he just said that, overtakes what he would add to the team as a captain? It's getting dicey.
If he makes the call today, he's probably coaching. Yeah. He's not going to put himself on the team. But we're getting pretty close to a point where the fans are going to start to be clamoring for him to be on the team.
Do they, though?
Playing so well.
Do they? I feel like the whole point was like for him to lead them, and he said he won't do both. And I know you're saying, why doesn't he do both? He's not going to.
I know.
That's from his mouth.
He doesn't. I think maybe he feels like that's a bad dynamic.
That's a dog mentality, to be able to answer all these questions about the Ryder Cup and come back and play the way that he's been playing this week. Keegan's a dog. We knew that. He's our dog of the week.
He's freed up in a way that we've talked about Rory being freed up after winning the Masters, because he missed out on being a part of the Ryder Cup at all last time around. Yeah. Now he gets named the captain, so he's like, I'm in.
He's going to be there.
No matter what.
Yeah, he'll be at Bethpage.
Maybe I'll get a bunch of T10s this year out of it.
He's doing it. All right, we're going to finish up with Chirps from the gallery. Very strong week on the Chirps department. Charlie Woods winning his tournament prompted some people to make some pretty ridiculous predictions. Let's pull this way. Charlie Woods to Live Golf, says Brandon. I mean, come on with this. Any golfer who's playing good, they're going to Live Golf. Why would Charlie go to Live Golf? I don't think that's going to happen. Our next one, Gabby Herzig. She's been on the show a bunch of times. I love Gabby Herzig. She's an amazing journalist. She wrote, the Oakmont grounds crew is one of the best and most thorough in golf. During U.S. Open Media Day, we could see a small army cutting the rough by hand because it was too wet for full machinery. I am not a scientist, but those look like machines to me. You write cutting grass by hand. I thought we were going to see some motherfucking scissors.
Scissors, yeah.
Those are machines, and I understand what she's getting on here. They don't have like the big kind of Zamboni looking stuff, but those are machines.
They have motors in them.
That is not cutting grass by hand. And she said to me, she's like, oh, that's what the USGA calls cutting grass by hand. I don't really care what the USGA calls cutting grass by hand.
That's a style thing. She's sticking to the AP style.
That is not cutting grass by hand. Okay. The Genghis effect. This cracked me up. Club Pro guy's back, which has been fantastic. And George is like, I would say, the closest thing I have to a golf coach. Taught me how to play, and I get lessons from him.
Lesson with hands-on.
This is a funny picture. It's funny that kid is probably 7 years old, and he probably is talking about, extension and flexion and all this stuff. So this is how Lee Trevino was taught how to play golf.
I wanted to ask you, actually, when you did your lesson with Genghis, like, how beneficial did you find the person moving your body?
Helps a lot. Helps a lot. Yeah, it just, the guy, Johnny Ruiz, the guy who stands behind you and turns your hips, it helps a lot. It's a feeling thing. Zephyr Melton. So Zephyr covers LPGA a lot for golf.com, Golf Magazine. Lexi Thompson was in the super group with Nelly Corda and Charlie Holt this week. I just want to say this is Lexi writing about the U.S. Open. I want to say a few things. First, big thank you to the USGA, the volunteers, and the fans this week. The U.S. Open has always held a special place in my heart ever since I was 12 and always will. In reality, my game wasn't ready for the week, even though I put a hard work into it. Is there something here about... Anyways, so she said that she was retiring last year. And then Zephyr Melton said, it feels a bit disingenuous of Lexi to suggest that her she said, okay, sorry, I'm all over the place here. But she said, I'm not sure how many times I'll have to repeat this, but I never used the word retire. I said not a full-time schedule. Never used the word retire. I said not a full-time schedule because I'm not sure how much I will play, just taking it one at a time. And then Zephyr says, Feels a bit disingenuous of Lexi to suggest that her retirement was taken out of context after the way everything went last year. Tearful pressers, goodbye messages, tribute videos. If she knew she was going to be back out there so often, why go through all of that? And that's a fair critique. It definitely felt like a retirement at the time. That was the story.
I think this confusion is everybody's fault. It's Lexi Thompson's fault for not saying, I didn't say retirement, like clarifying her words. She didn't say retirement, so that's fair. She said, the time has to come for everybody eventually that they can't play a full schedule anymore. Like, it's basically what Tiger has done the past, 6-7 years. So it's her fault for not being as clear. But then we also all took it as that and put her in a position to have the teary goodbyes, and like, we used hyperbole.
Everybody's at fault here.
Yeah, everyone's at fault.
That's fair. I was in the wilderness. I don't know if you guys heard this week. And I resurfaced to some messages on my phone that someone had made an AI baby version of me.
Ube.
Asking, he made it?
Yeah, I think he did, yeah.
Oh, really? Asking Tiger Woods a question. Let's watch this clip.
Like, Tiger, it looked like you were moving pretty well physically. Like, I know it's every day is different for you, but do you feel like zooming out, like you're getting stronger?
I used to win this tournament every year. But now I'm an old fucking man with bad knees, bogey on the last 2 holes. And I can't even make the fucking cut of major tournaments anymore. But hey, at least I'm ahead of Phil Mickelson on the scoreboard. Fuck that guy.
Okay, I love the misplaced beeps. We still heard every curse word.
Did he say all that? That was all.
No. So my question was real. I remember this was at Valhalla. I asked him that question. So the question was real. Like, my audio was real. His reply was not real. Do you think that looks like? It's very funny that he's wearing the tan Rappaport outfit.
Outfit was nice.
The tan is great. I like the tan Rappaport stuff. I think it's funny. It's bizarre to me that video exists, but do you think that looks like me as a baby?
No, I don't. But it's also like, that was the baby AI thing. Like, it's capable of doing that now, I guess AI is. So like, I've seen Ube making a ton of those off of iconic moments. I didn't expect to see you and Tiger. That's awesome.
It was very, very surreal seeing that. Scottie Scheffler has won 3 times in the month of May, even though technically it was June yesterday, but I guess it counts. Same as the Colorado Rockies. Colorado Rockies, I think, were 3 and 20 something. They're a terrible baseball team. I think they're 9 and 50. It's really, really bad. So Scottie Scheffler's got as many wins, I guess, since May 4th as the Colorado Rockies does. Interesting point, speaking of Scottie, by Andy Lack, who does a lot of golf gambling content. He said, maybe a touch hyperbolic, but we are about 1 or 2 more of these Scottie Scheffler weeks away where I think that in signature events, he should really just be plus 100, which is even money. And there is not a single PGA Tour golfer, aside from Rory, that should be under 25 to 1. We are 21 weeks into the season, and Scottie has 3 wins and the proverbial 3rd through 10th best players on the PGA Tour, which is Colin, JT, Cantlay, Victor, Ludwig, Tommy, Hideki, Shane Lowry, Corey Connors, Jordan Spieth, have combined for 3 as well. For what it's worth, Sepp and Henley have combined for 3 too. No one on the PGA Tour besides Rory should be below 25 to 1 when Scottie's in the field right now. Colin needs to get the hell out of the teens when Scottie's in the field. He can skip the 20s and head to the 30s as well. What he's basically saying here is like, the odds are not, like, you should still be betting on Scottie. Yeah. If he's like in the plus 200, plus 300 range, because he wins. And that's the thing about Scottie is I believe it's 9 54-hole leads converted in a row now. Like, he gets himself in contention, and his win rate, his conversion rate is super, super high. So it's something to think about.
Saying your betting strategy should be like always put a little crumb on Scottie, and then the rest of the field is like a
I think what he's commenting on is like no one else really wins.
Yeah.
You know, other guys win like once in a while. Scottie
Sepp Straka wins.
Sepp Straka wins, but Scottie is on another level right now. And then we're going to finish it with Chris Powers making an appearance. He wants to go on the Ben Griffin plan. Let's pull this one up. Realizing that potentially, oh no, this is not a Ben Griffin tweet. This is this is related to Jack Nicklaus yesterday, and this is something that Jack Nicklaus can say. He was like, Ben Griffin's a nice player. Nick Taylor's a nice player, but Scottie knows he's in a different level than those guys. And then Chris Powers writes, realizing that potentially half the U.S. Ryder Cup team this year might be what Jack Nicklaus would describe as nice players. It's true. We've talked on this show a lot about how the back half of the U.S. Ryder Cup team feels really wide open because a lot of the blue chip guys who have been there in the past, the Max Homas, the Tony Finau's, the Jordan Spieths, they are anything but surefire bets. So we're going to see a lot. We're going to see some Ben Griffins. We're going to see some Matt McNeelys. We're going to see some Andrew Novak. It's going to be some new blood. We'll leave you with the clip of the week, which was everyone saw the highlight of Jordan Spieth almost taking someone's head off with a golf shot. We finally got the reverse angle. So just watch this. Realize how close it was. Be happy that you weren't there. Be happy that it didn't hit the guy in the face. Also, like and subscribe to Dan on Golf. I'll see you later today. We're going to do a little bit on the Golf's Longest Day. And then, yeah, we'll be back next week for Dan on Golf. We love you, sickos.